Tonight on a special edition of Evening. From the San Juans to the South Sound. Come aboard as we explore the islands of Western Washington.
Visitors are completely odd.
We'll show you where to go when you hit the shore.
It's magnificent. It's worth the trip.
As Evening goes island hopping.
Hey, I'm Jim Dever. Welcome to a special island hopping edition of Evening. You know, the waters of Western Washington are home to more than 400 islands, and every one of them has its own story and unique charm. Tonight, we're going to some of the places that make our own backyard such a great place to explore. We're coming to you tonight from the Washington State Ferry Chimacum. More than 19 million people ride these ferries every year, and most of the islands you'll see tonight can be reached by catching a ride. Our first stop is Bainbridge Island, home to a unique garden that is ranked as one of the most scenic spots in the world.
We call this place a sort of a secret gem. We are actually one of the 10 best and most renowned public gardens in the United States. Bloedel Reserve opened to the public in the late 80s. It was a private residence, a private estate, and the Prentice and Virginia Bloedel lived here with their children for 30 years. He hired different landscape architects and landscape designers to help him and his wife sculpt this land, which is 140 acres of native forest here on Bainbridge Island, into a curated series of gardens that flow through the property. When you visit the reserve, you'll experience an incredible layering of native forest and cultivated gardens. The beauty of that is you're able to more deeply understand the Pacific Northwest and its plantings, as well as see some extremely exotic species. The Japanese garden is modeled after a traditional Japanese strolling garden. There's a pond, there's a sand and stone garden, and the structure there, which we call the Japanese guest house, was originally the Bloedel's guest house for their friends when they came to visit, and the sand and stone garden was originally a swimming pool. The reflection pool is probably the most formal of our gardens here at the reserve. It was designed to feel like you're in a room. So it's a long rectangular space that's surrounded by a very formal yew hedge. And then the pool itself reflects the sky. Visitors are completely awed by Bloedel Reserve. Something happens between the time where they arrive, pass through all these beautiful landscapes. It's a rarity to have this amount of land, 140 acres, reserved and set aside for anybody to come visit.
Bloedel Reserve is open year-round, but if you want to visit, you have to get timed tickets. You can do that online. Our next stop is wonderful Whidbey Island, a treasure trove just waiting to be explored. Saint takes us there now.
It's been a part of Whidbey Island history for well over a century.
So this is the Green Bank Farm on Whidbey Island. We're right in the middle of the island in the skinniest point. This whole farm started at pretty much the turn of the century, 1904. And it was started as a dairy farm. Then new ownership took over and they decided to plant loganberries just on a whim to see how they would do, and they thrived. So by the 50s, it was the largest loganberry farm in the United States. By the 70s, they say in the world.
Today, Green Bank Farm has become a must-stop for both locals and visitors alike.
So there's 5 kilometers of hiking trails that are cut up into the hillside. The Washington State Master Gardeners do a professional job volunteering to take care of the gardens here at Green Bank Farm. We've got an art gallery that's really great called Fire of the Heart Art Gallery. We've got a couple of food options. There's the Old Spots Bistro, which is a sit-down soups, sandwiches, salads. We've got the cheese shop.
And you can pair those cheeses with wines at Holly's Wine Shop.
Cheers.
People come back every year. Even if they don't live here on Whidbey Island, they make a trip back every year. And we get to see the same customers year after year. It's really, really beautiful.
If you believe breakfast is a good time any time of the day, we know just the place for you.
This is Freeland Cafe. We serve what a lot of people call comfort food, family food, a lot of family dining. The original owners started in the middle 1970s. We haven't made a lot of changes because the cafe has a pretty big local following.
One of those unchanged items is their version of Loco Moco.
It's a rice dish with a beef patty served on top with 2 eggs the way you like them, with a house-made brown gravy spread over the top, chicken fried steak that's hand-breaded here with homemade, gravy from scratch. That's really, really popular.
And after 50 years, Freeland Cafe is still popular too.
We get people in saying, my grandfather used to bring my dad here and I bring my son here. A lot of weekenders, and we're a regular spot on their list.
Looking for a place to stay? Then look no further than Captain Whidbey Inn.
It was originally made as an inn. Judd Still was the original, bought the land, created the inn that you see behind us here.
Inside, guests are immediately taken back in time, with many of its original features still standing.
We have different cabins from Filson, edit cabins, and they're all done uniquely by themselves. Our lodge rooms are the historical rooms with shared bathrooms in the hallways and kind of just that more historical 1907 feel to it.
Outside, there's plenty of places where guests can relax or just explore the grounds.
We get a lot of people from Seattle that just are looking for a place to get out of the city, that they can get away, unwind, relax.
History and hospitality, 2 things that keep guests at Captain Whidbey Inn wanting to come back again and again.
They love it. They absolutely love it.
All right, that's the fun fact alert. It's time for a fun fact. Did you know that Whidbey Island is the largest island in the state, 30 miles long and 10 miles wide? You can turn off the fun fact sound now. Yeah, turn it. Thank you. Sometimes the best way to get to explore a place is to have a local play tour guide. That's exactly what Saint did on Vashon Island.
Tara Morgan, a barber who makes house calls on the island, is taking me on what she calls the Vashon Unexpected Tour.
This is a tour of things that I've discovered and things that are sort of unexpected.
Our first stop is the Country Store and Farm. For nearly 60 years, they've been selling homemade honey, toys, and clothes.
We really try and carry a good brand, but also something that's kind of fun.
Tara sizes me up for a so-called Vashon tuxedo.
Oh, you look super snappy. I like it with the plaid.
Apparently, you need Blundstone boots for the whole look.
I did not know that this farm was back here until like 6 months ago.
Back behind the store, Adria McGrath cultivates an organic farm where she grows pumpkins and Instagram-worthy bean teepees. In downtown Vashon, we stop at Cafe Vino Olio.
I can't wait for you to try this place. It's not just coffee, it's the best bagels on the island.
The coffee is great, the egg sandwiches scrumptious, but owner Jane Norton has made local art the star of the dining area.
People come in and eat and drink and sometimes buy art, which is great.
Looking for anything from a sailfish to a suitcase? Our final stop is Vashon Estate Sales.
Wow.
Yeah, you've basically hit the jackpot here.
But the true treasure is in a side room called the Artist Apothecary. The artist being Mike Urban, who owns the place.
This is a culmination of 20 years of collecting, and you can see from wall to wall, jars and jars of everything. And a lot of people don't know about this place who even live on Vashon Island.
Most people love the familiarity of the place they call home. But Tara Morgan loves the unexpected gems she finds on Vashon Island.
It's cool, huh?
Thank you, Saint. And there are 3 ways to access Vashon by ferry. You can do it from Seattle, Tacoma, or southward.
Still to come on evening's island hopping adventure.
Every Washingtonian should figure out a way to get here.
Explore Sucia Island with its only resident ranger. And later, visit the southernmost island in all of Puget Sound.
Wow!
Local stories make a difference.
I want to check that out.
With the power to enrich lives, strengthen communities, and make us smile. Evening is made possible by Primera Blue Cross. Primera Blue Cross, always in your corner.
Welcome back to Evening from aboard the Washington State Ferry Chimicum as we continue our island hopping adventure. We head on now to the largest of the San Juans, Orcas Island. Now, whether you get there by ferry or by plane, it's well worth the trip. As one of the jewels of the Salish Sea, Orcas Island has always been a sought-out destination. If you go, be sure not to miss the highest point on the island, Mount Constitution. At almost half a mile above sea level, it's the highest point in the San Juan Islands. When it's open, the observation tower built during the Great Depression is worth the walk up, offering sweeping views of the water and surrounding islands. If hiking around has built up your appetite, there's a great place down the road where you'll find food that doesn't get any fresher.
You are in Olga, Washington, which is on beautiful Orcas Island, and the name of our farm is Buck Bay Shellfish Farm.
Buck Bay has been producing oysters and clams off and on since the 1930s.
Oysters. One of the funnest things that people really like to do, and where we kind of all started, was you could go into our live room where we have live oysters and live clams and live crab.
They took an old boat barn and made it part of a bistro they opened in 2019.
We put the commercial kitchen on the back side of it with the hope of being able to make the best fish and chips in the whole entire world. When you come into the bistro, you can get oysters a few different ways. You can get them raw on the half shell, or you can get them fried, deep fried.
Besides great food, Orcas is also home to many talented artists, like the ones you'll find at Orcas Island Pottery.
We have a lot of people that come here every year, and a lot of people say it's their favorite place on earth. It was started in 1945 by a couple named Joe and Markley Sherman. We sell pottery that's everything from functional dinnerware to decorative pieces. Most of our pottery is the more functional dinnerware. From start to finish, it's usually at least a couple of weeks because the piece has to be thrown and then trimmed and dried, fired, glazed, fired again.
Kim and her brothers are now a part of the 4 generations of potters here, keeping the ancient art alive.
It's one of the oldest traditions in human civilization is making pottery, and I think that things just feel different in your hands when you know that it was made by a person.
With so much beauty, both man-made and natural on Orcas Island, leaving here with memories that will last a lifetime is almost guaranteed. Another classic Orcas Island stop is Doe Bay Resort. There are hot springs and cabins, a great restaurant, and a music festival every September. Our next stop is just north of Orcas Island. Saint takes us to Sucia.
It is a magic place, yeah.
You're really in touch with nature when you're here.
Even folks who live in the San Juans say this island's special.
When I asked somebody who grew up around the islands which was his favorite island, and he said, beyond a shadow of a doubt, he said, oh, Sucia. So, and I think it's probably ours now too.
Here we go. With its bays, beaches, and natural beauty, Sucia Island is the crown jewel of Washington State Marine Parks, and it's Ranger Steve Crosby's job to help take care of it all.
I'm the resident park ranger here, Monday through Thursday.
Back in the 1950s, half of this island was a state park, and the other half was slated to become vacation homes. Then in 1960, yacht clubs from all over Washington State came together to stop the development.
And they did a fundraising drive, and they raised the magnificent sum of $25,000, and they bought the entire rest of the island.
Today, this place is priceless, and it belongs to all of us. The whole island is a state park. Visitors hike to sandstone caves once used by smugglers.
This is where the smugglers would have hidden their contraband in the little indents in these rocks.
And explore Fossil Bay, where Washington's only dinosaur bone was discovered in 2012.
They named it now, and it's called the Suciasaurus because it's the only specimen ever found.
Mooring buoys, anchoring spots, and docks have put Sucia on the bucket list for boaters.
A very beautiful spot.
And if your boat's not big enough to sleep aboard, you're still in luck.
There's some magnificent camping sites. Our campsites are waterfront, all of them, just about.
Site 44 is Steve's favorite, and that's a pretty good view for $15 a night.
You're not going to have a campsite where you don't have a view of something spectacular.
Sucia Island, an excellent excuse to take up boating or make friends with somebody who owns one.
It's magnificent. It's worth the trip. Every Washingtonian should figure out a way to get here.
Thank you, Saint. There's water taxi service to Sucia from the San Juans, and Hotel Bellwether in Bellingham also has boat service in the summertime.
Coming up, our top things to do on Anderson Island.
Welcome back to Evening as we continue to island hop around Western Washington. Our next stop is in the South Sound. Saint takes us to Anderson Island.
It's a wonderful place.
Here is an 8-square-mile island that offers spectacular views, natural beauty, miles of unspoiled beaches.
We have an eagle's nest just right up the hill.
And residents like Jeannie McGoldrick, who can't name a place where she'd rather live.
They'll have to carry me off in a box or screaming, I don't know.
That's the feelings of an awful lot of people.
Retired aerospace engineer Ed Stevenson says first-time visitors should check out the Johnson Farm, run by the volunteers of the Anderson Island Historical Society.
It says chicken coop on the outside.
Right.
But inside?
All of this stuff has just kind of been put in here for storage at the moment because we've been building the new archival building.
There are rusting farm tools here, an old pilot house for one of the island's original ferries, and this antique.
People have to go all the way down to the ferry to make a phone call.
Hello, operator. I would like to make a phone call. Person to person, please.
We have an awful lot of history here that you just look around and you see all these different buildings that were built back in the 1800s.
There's another rusting antique in Oro Bay, the Ocean City it's called.
Yeah, that was a very interesting story. Tommy Palmer kind of collects ferries.
In the 1980s, Palmer won the ferry in a Virginia auction and brought it through the Panama Canal, hoping to win a private contract to ferry Anderson Island passengers. The county said no, and it's been here ever since.
As far as I know, the only thing he's used it for, I think it was his daughter that had a wedding party on it one time, and that's about it.
We've got our own ferry to catch, but there's one more place we wanted to see, the Anderson Island General Store.
That's kind of our central point of information.
Here you can pick up groceries, videos, used books, and the latest news.
A lot of people will say we're the pub of the island. I'm not one that likes the gossip line of the island, so we keep that as far bay.
As the sun sets over the Sound, we head back to the mainland, a 20-minute ride that's made all the difference for Anderson Island.
I love the ferry. That's the only thing that's keeping the island as quiet as it is.
Thank you, Saint. Anderson Island, just a 20-minute ferry ride out of Steilacoom.
Take a trip to secluded Hat Island.
It's a hidden secret, really.
When Evening returns.
Welcome back to Evening as we continue our island hopping adventure. Now, there's an island off the coast of Everett that's like its own little world, tucked away from everything. A great place to visit if you can figure out how to get there. It's a little hard to get to.
By boat. Yep, the only way.
The harbor master may chase you off.
I'm the junkyard dog.
But once you step foot on Hat Island, you may never want to step away.
It's a hidden secret, really.
4 miles of beach. Up the hill is the most affordable country club in the Northwest.
There are a few golf courses where you can play in flip-flops without a shirt on and your dog running around.
Yes, you do have to pack everything in. The private island is by invite only, unless you're a SEAL.
So we got a moat around the island for our gated community.
So this is a Hat Island speed bump. There we go.
You know, it shocks you when you see another car because you're used to having the road all to yourself.
There's a community garden here, created at the height of the pandemic.
It's just been a healing, growing thing that I think everybody needed. It's a common place that we want to do the very best we can for.
This quirky community also boasts a waterfowl condo where you might spot a strange-looking lake creature. The island itself is an odd duck of sorts.
Not for everyone.
But the residents of Hat Island wouldn't want to live anywhere else.
Who would think? 30 minutes from big city, you'd have this.
Well, this is our final destination. Thanks for watching, and remember, all the islands you saw in this show are just a ferry ride away. See you next time.